Hey, dear listener, welcome to the Ask Podcast, a conversation podcast where we feature innovators, hubs, innovation spaces, labs, and more people. Tune in every Sunday, 2 p.m., with special guests from conflict and post-conflict areas in Africa, as we discuss about how they are solving local community challenges using unique approaches. This is an AskNet podcast with support from Rogue Agency for Open Culture and Critical Transformation and funds from the BMZ.
And of course, it's me, Romeo, who we shall be sharing a lot of stuff as always about how different innovations, innovation centers, innovation spaces, individuals, and other different people out there are trying to find solutions to challenges that are affecting their communities, and more especially these people who live in post-conflict places. And of course, with me today, I have one amazing Bashir J. Thanks, who is a creator at Nyuonville, and basically who is going to share with us how he uses storytelling, filming, and filmmaking in creating change and a positive story, I can say, about the community where he lives in. But otherwise, without just wasting time, I would love to welcome our guest, Bashir J. Thanks. You're welcome to the show.
What's up, bro?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, man. I'm fine, thank you.
Today I hope it's good.
Yeah, all is good.
Nice. So fine. Just for us to continue, could you tell us something about Nyuonville?
Okay. Nyuonville is a creative, space for South Sudanese where they could have an opportunity and a place where they can be able to, to showcase their talents and tell South Sudanese stories so that could be relatable to our people. So that is the idea behind the Nyuonville. That's how it came about.
Yes.
So I established Nyuonville so that I could have a space for myself and other people where they can be able, if they want to share South Sudanese stories, and they have that place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. So why do you think it is important for people to know about South Sudan stories? Like basically.
I mean, I feel like for a very long time, us as South Sudanese has been just consumers, right? I mean, every time we turn on TVs, it doesn't matter wherever we are in the world, UK, US, or South Sudan. I mean, we're all consuming Nigerian and or maybe the Western movies and whatnot, but there's no real stories from South Sudan, right? So I felt like, okay, you know what? If I could try to be that guy and try to establish a space where I could be able to tell our own stories, and that's why, like, even most of the stuff that I produce in my own dialect, right? Because I wanted to connect with people more, I felt like that's how the whole thing came about. So I felt like it's important for me to do that.
All right, that's amazing. So basically, what kind of content does Nyuonville
I do
produce?
drama comedies. Yeah, it's more drama comedies. So I do shorts, skits. So yeah, so short films are like around 20 minutes forward, and do features films sometimes. I think I have like 2 features. One is an hour 58 minutes, and then a short film which is award winning was is 20 something minutes there, and then the skits I have like about more than 200 skits.
Okay,
Which are like about 5 minutes and 7 minutes and 10 minutes and whatnot. Yeah.
Okay, so talking about the award-winning show that you possibly had, could you tell us something about it? Like, what was the story behind it?
I mean, okay, so after doing so many skits, right? There's a foundation in the US, Loading Foundation.
Yes.
I think you're aware about that.
Yes.
So they have this thing called South Sudan Unite.
Yes.
It's an annual event that they do every year, right?
Yes.
And this is where they featured most of the South Sudanese, talented young South Sudanese, right?
Yes.
I think by chance they watched the channel, and then they sent someone to reach out to me on Instagram. I ignored it. I thought it was some random person telling me, "Yo, listen, we need to get you, do something, work with you, or something like that."
Yeah.
That's because I get a lot of stuff like that. So, when I replied, and then the lady said, "I'm gonna be in Nairobi in the next 2 days." And then she flew in, and then after that we sat down. Like, okay, listen, we're doing an event, and we want to share South Sudanese who are doing something good, just like your podcast right now, and be able to, So they said, we like what you do. There's a short film I did about how abortion is affecting us and all that. I mean, about a guy impregnating a girl, and then all of a sudden he denied, and then want to be involved in the baby's life, and the girl she's told the girl to remove the kid, but the girl refused, right? And then when the girl gave birth, she brought the kid, to the guy, and then so when they saw that video, they were like, "This is really informative. So we would love you to do something around depression, anxiety, and all that. Something that how people could feel and all that. So I did a story about young couples, right? How, responsibilities bring issues in the household, and how, when a woman is earning more money and the guy is not, making money, they're always, with toxic masculinity in our community, right?
I get it.
So it's really hard. So I tried to play around that story and wrote a script of 20 minutes, and I shot that, and then they premiered it in Arizona during the South Sudan Unite. And then after premiering, there was an award company that is in Kenya. They did that, and then it won the award as well. I was like, okay. This turned out well.
No, this is amazing. And by the way, just as you were speaking, I realized you just hit a little bit on how you come up with these stories.
Yeah.
Because some of the stories are like, hey, would love you. We have seen you have done an amazing work, and we want you to do for us something in this way.
Yeah.
But apart from that, whereby stories are instigated or brought in by an external factor, what are the things that actually motivate you to come up with a story? Like, be like, okay, I want to tell this kind of a story using by this skit, or using this kind of maybe it's going to be featured stuff or a documentary.
Yeah.
Like, what exactly motivates you?
I mean, like, I feel like there's just so many stories and so many funny stuff. And my inspiration comes from a daily, point of view of the things that happen in this country. When I see something happening, I feel like, okay, this is, how can I translate this for people to get to understand, but make it funny for people to enjoy as well, but get to tell a story as well. Like the issue of black dollar here and all that, the increment of dollar and all that, I did something around it, and in a way that someone watched it and be like, okay, this is funny, but wait, okay, this is really reality, right? So I feel like there's a way you have to play with the truth and be able to pass, because all my skit, there has to be a message around it, and when I started out, I'm like, okay, the actors mostly, I was like, okay, listen, which language are you comfortable to use in order for you to do this skit? They were like, okay, listen, English is a little bit complex, and as you start out, we are comfortable doing it in Dinka, right? So I'm like, okay, fine, I really don't mind. Because again, at the end of the day, there are people who watches like Indian movies, man, with subtitles. Chinese movies. Over the years, we've been watching with subtitles, right?
I know,
so
man.
like, I feel like this is okay, no worries.
Yeah.
Because again, a story is a story.
Exactly.
So I started doing those stuff, and then I was like, okay, fine, there has to be a condition though. For other wider audience, people would love to know what is happening.
Yes.
If anything is a short for them from 20 minutes and above, and it's something real serious, we're doing it in English. Yeah. If it's official, we'll do it in English. But these kids, let's do it in the most comfortable way.
Yeah.
So with the time, I realized, I'm like, yo, okay, this is actually helpful, right? Because I'm trying to because I feel like the generation we're in the 21st century right now, we're running away from our culture, man. And a lot of people want to become so westernized so much. So like, I want to force people in a way like, okay, this guy is using his language to, to do these videos. They are really nice, but we don't understand. I'm like, yeah, as soon as you get pissed off and you do it in your language as well, that is what I want. Like, put the subtitle. Let me watch it, man.
I get it.
Yes.
I get it.
So, and I feel like right now, even Netflix.
Yeah.
There's a movie on Netflix called Lion.
Yes.
It was done in Nigeria. I think they sent it for
Lion Heart.
Yeah, Lion Heart, right?
The one with Genevieve Naji.
Genevieve Naji, right?
Yes.
It was nominated for Oscar, right?
Yes.
It couldn't make it. They said no, we can't have this thing because they said we need foreign movies, right? When they say foreign, you cannot come with English. They said, oh, in Nigeria English is this. They're like, no. When we say foreign movies, let it be, the local dialect, man.
Exactly.
We need it to be like that.
Exactly.
So when you see that, I mean, white people are seeing things the way it's supposed to be done, but here we feel like if we're doing our own thing, maybe we are not, educated or whatever like that. So I feel like with that, I think I've seen that from afar, and I feel that is the kind of how I'm running thing. And now it's becoming more comfortable because a lot of people are getting to be aware about where my mind was, not because I was doing it. So, I separate my audience from the people, but I felt like this is the way forward. I've seen it through time. Like, okay, this is what's going to be cool next. So let's keep it like that.
Amazing. Just maybe to clarify, you mentioned actually already in your conversation, just to clarify about the part of audience.
Yeah.
So you said you have different audience depending on what kind of content you're giving, right?
Yeah.
So like, which kind of audience do you look at as the mass audience or like your primary audience? You'd be like, okay, these are the guys Nyuonville would love to really supply content to.
Yeah.
Then you have the subsidiary audiences, okay, about skits or maybe that. Who is like your main audience?
I mean, so when I started out, I feel like I had no YouTube channel, right? I was putting everything on YouTube, on Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah.
Yeah, and at that time I was still in film school. So when that happened, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel, and then the main way for you to grow your channel is to be consistent.
Exactly.
So, and to be consistent, I mean, you have to do something that you're comfortable with and be able to put more content out there, right? So that is how I came with skits. It's easier, to do. You can do like 10 of them, edit them, put them out, and all that. So when I talk about wider audience, it's like if there is a story that I feel that would involve people who cannot be able to speak my dialect, right? And I feel like the story doesn't necessarily have to be in my dialect, right? So I try to make it in English so that I feel like, okay, now let's go for the bigger one. So that means for the awards, right? Okay, let's push it here. Those guys will not understand this no matter how it's going to be right now. Wait, let's do something that's going to be of that standard and we push it forward. Yeah. So that is like the whole thing. It's like producing something like is most of the artists. I feel like, this is going to be a head song because my target audience is going to be people in the West who don't speak this language. They don't speak this. They don't speak that. So let's push it there. That's how like I came about to divide it like that. But again, it's all gamble because I'm never sure which one's gonna make it. Yeah. So I just feel like, okay, guys, let's do this.
You're always never sure.
So yeah.
Big Shock wasn't sure that his man's not hard.
Yeah.
Was gonna be the hit.
Yeah. Then you're like, this is it.
Hey guys, I had no idea this is what is hitting. Yeah. But at the end of it, you realize that's the stuff. So like,
but there has to be a strategy. Yeah, there has to be a strategy.
There has to be a strategy.
Hoping that whatever picks up, man.
Exactly. Yeah. So what do you want to see? 10 years, 5 years, Nyuonville, content creation in South Sudan.
Content creation in South Sudan, man. That's like a little bit of a stretch right now. I mean, getting followers on YouTube is crazy. I mean, but I feel like with the time, in the next 10 years now, I think would be around Uganda, what Uganda is doing right now. Because if you look at Uganda is not so much, it's not so big on internet. Because digital content creation needs, have internet and all that kind of stuff, and so that people can access the content. That's not the case. So most of the people that watch my stuff right now, they're from abroad, right? So that means I'm talking about the US and talking about, so it even helps me to come up with the content because I'm like, okay, this region watches my stuff a lot, right? So let me do something relatable to these guys, right? So that they watch it more and all that kind of stuff. So I feel in the next 10 years, with how the country is going, man, I feel if there will be accessibility to internet and whatnot, I feel like we could be able to get million views on YouTube and all that. Like for right now, I have like about almost 10,000 subscribers, and I feel like it's a big effort, and all that. So I feel if it's someone like Kenya, we'll probably be having a million and all that. Yeah. If you look at that market, if you look at Tanzania, because the data charges are very low, so those guys get like million views in an hour, right, or 2 hours, right? So I think along that line, with the industry growing, we'll get there, man. I feel like Nyuonville is not going anywhere, and I feel like what I'm doing right now is motivating other guys to do the same thing. And the more we are a lot of guys creating, then the much easier the audience catches up with us. And
all right. So bearing the fact that we see, actually, you've come up to the point of talking about challenges here. Which is, number one is internet connectivity. That one we all know. Let me tell you, if we were like Tanzania, whereby people have access to internet, can say so, number one. And number two, people are really supportive in terms of local content and all that stuff. I believe you could be like in millions or more. More, because they're like, oh, it is this guy, let's do that and let's do that. But now I want to ask you this. Since people that you're making, because the main target of Nyuonville, as you said in the beginning, was to create content that is going to educate people, local people, but in an entertaining way, and a good way. So it's like sensitize, educate, and entertain.
Definitely.
But now, are you kind of worried that the people you actually make this content for, who are supposed to be like the South Sudanese people to consume this content, and amazingly created by South Sudanese too as well, are not getting access to this content the way you really expect it to? And the content is being got by people, I could say, maybe fellow South Sudanese, but who are abroad and not facing the local challenges that are happening really down on ground. They're not understanding the issue of the exchange rates and all the dollar. You're not getting it, right? Do you feel worried?
I mean, that is like one of the frustration that I go through, because I feel like, these people are not getting it. I feel like because the intention is to make it for people here, man, to consume it, because those are like the main target audience, right? And then if you're not, if only like 2% of them are the one watching it, right? I mean, it's make it leaves me no space, but just to hope things changes, man. But I feel that is like one of the biggest challenges. But again, it's just a few individuals like now download the stuff so that they could watch it later on. So when I came to Juba now, like getting a lot of people, yo, what happened? You're not producing anymore, because when I came to Juba now, things switched up.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to get to understand how the environment is working. Apparently, you can't shoot without permit, all this stuff, and yada. So and I meet people. They're like, yo, what happened? You're not producing. Have you guys stopped? I'm like, no, we have not. I mean, trying to understand how the environment works and be in a position where I can be able to create again. So I think like that is it, and I feel like I am not in a position to control that. And being creative is being in a position where you go like, okay, if there is a problem, how can I solve it? You know,
Exactly.
but I cannot solve this one because now it's a nation's problem in terms of internet connectivity and whatnot. So, yeah.
Sure. And just to maybe you could throw more light about the challenges you're actually facing in the creation of content in Nyuonville.
Yeah.
Maybe you could say that you already talked about the fact that you have to get a permit, you have to get this. Like there's really, it's a hassle for content to be out there that people will be like, okay, we're clicking on this on YouTube. Oh my God, it took.
They
like,
think it's easy.
it wasn't easy in this creation. If you are behind the scenes or behind of the scenes, you wouldn't like it.
I mean,
it was not easy on the streets. It wasn't easy convincing this guy here.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm shooting this for the best of the country.
Like, nope.
No.
You want to talk shit about Akuma. Now you want to talk about dollar rates, huh? Wow.
Exactly.
You want to show this to Kawajan? Oh my God. I wish.
You see that? Exactly. So, what are the other challenges besides that actually you've been facing so deeply at Nyuonville?
I think another thing is the industry as a whole. Like, there are no. First of all, there's no film commission in South Sudan. There's no. It's just the whole film. Only people that are known in this country are journalists, man. So you see, so like even sometimes I run as that. I was like, hey, I'm a journalist. They were like, okay, go, because I was a filmmaker. They were like,
that's the
what?
easiest way to
They were
explain yourself.
they'll be like, what is that? Funny story. So I went to get a new passport.
Yeah.
The guy was asking, so what's your occupation? I'm like, filmmaker. He's like, he wrote F and then L. I was like, no, that's not like that. FLIM. I was like, is that the way around? He's like, okay. Then he wrote film and then maker. He put a space. I was like, you know what? You should have just put journalist, man. I'm like,
oh my God. Oh my God.
It's funny. So I feel, because there's no film commission board, there are no, organization put together to be able to support, creators, and there are no, associations, that support this stuff. I feel like that's why it's like for journalists it's much easier now because there's an association that is there that supports them and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like with the time, we feel sometimes like we are not being recognized, and I feel like that is one of the biggest challenges that we have, apart from, because again, if you get yourself in trouble, who's going to help you? Then you identify as a filmmaker, we're like, okay, and then this is what they say, and then what? So I feel like with that, and if we can take the initiative to be able to put organization together and then have the film classification boards and all that, I feel from there would be taking a step to grow and be recognized as such. But now it's just a wild west, man. You just recognize yourself as this and then you do your thing, hoping that
it's just built on hope and all that stuff. Yeah. So this is like a whole block of challenges here.
A lot, yeah.
It's a whole block of challenges. And so if you're to think about, maybe if you're to be given the power to think around a roadmap of a solution, how would you love to draw it? Like if you think like, okay, we want to fix this. You want to fix it, and the picture you're trying to look at is South Sudanese being able to give you the million views. South Sudanese, the government being able to recognize filmmakers. The regulations, which of course come by it, they support for the local content creation.
Yeah.
And there's all that stuff. How do you want to draw a solution map around it, or how would you want it? Where would you want us to start solving from? Like, do you know, start solving from the
Yeah.
fact that we lack content creators,
Yeah.
or the fact that we need to fix from the government angle, or the fact that we need to start producing? You never know, people will end up. Or do you want us to fix from the point of we need internet first of all? Like, where would you?
Let's get into it.
Let's first get into it.
Let's get. But again, I have to give it up to these, internet subscribers, right? Uploading is easier. Downloading, that's where the issue is. I feel like if you have a content you want to upload it in South Sudan, it's not as big as complicated as people make it look. It take you a few hours and then it should be on. So I feel like where we should start, like when you were asking me other channel, like there are no film school as well, right?
Yeah, sure.
So now, one of the things I do, I hack as a teacher, right? So have to train you how, acting skills and what you're supposed to do on set, and then from there now, and then we go to the real thing of what we're supposed to do. So if there are all these spaces where people can get like, like there should be regulation. There should be organizations again that are in a position where to fund if kids wants to be actors, that are allowed, that are coached, that are helped, trained and put through school and all that, and then so that they could become professionals, right? Now, if you say, is there a film school in South Sudan? No, there's none, right?
There's none,
I mean, acting school, there's none, right? So again, that is like where the issue is. So like I think last year, that's when in Juba University, the University of Juba, that's when they came up with with the journalism class, right? That's when they started out. So and now, so I feel like South Sudan is growing, right? And there's so much that is going on, because, and I don't want to feel like, okay, we need to do these things now, but I feel like if they give creators space, to the creators to do whatever they want to do, but as more like they're on the safer side of the law, not doing things in a way that they're not supposed to, I feel like the freedom should be the first thing, allowing the creators to have the space to create without being restricted. Because if you're being restricted, it makes it hard for you to be creative, right?
Exactly.
So if you're allowed, and then from there now we could be like, okay, since I'm allowed to do this thing now, okay, now we'll request for like, okay, we need people to be put through training. We need workshops to happen. Even for myself, I would put workshops in place to be able to train the kids and whatnot. It doesn't necessarily have to be school. And this is something I've discussed before with my friends. I'm like, if someone is willing, I took so many people under my shoulder to make sure, if you're interested, come on, hit me up.
Yes.
I'll train you the basics of what you need to do and all that. But then again, after training you with these basics, right, and there is no freedom for you to be able to go, and put your skills out there, then it makes it hard.
This makes it so hard. And you realize that actually the fact that there are no schools, the fact that there are no stuff like that, it affects also the quality of the content actually.
Yeah.
The world is competitive. So the
Right.
fact that we in South Sudan could not be able to get our content as easy that out there because of the challenges we face,
Yes.
does not stop the world from growing.
Of course.
Does not stop people from continuing from where they are doing.
Yeah.
Right. People going ahead and all that stuff. So I think the sense of around quality of also the content supposed to come here is really so key. And it really comes up in a good way. And you talked about the fact that you are doing trainings as well for some of these youths and all that. Do you have like a number of how many you have at least trained? And so like what's the plan?
Yeah, so when before I came here, right? So I mean, filmmaking takes an army, man, and that's another thing people don't do. Even when you do these amazing works and you win awards and whatnot, they have a bunch of people behind it. It's only the directors that get recognized most of the time. Even the writers don't get the recognition that they deserve, right? So and doing all this stuff, like there are kids that I know that maybe been through school and then they dropped out and they didn't finish, and then I tell them like, yo, listen, I'm doing this thing. You come. I think I have like a train like about 5 kids, some in Kenya, some in South Sudan, right? So and I'm trying to do by next year. I want to when I establish myself in a position where I can be able to do more. I could do it, like, but I don't want to rush because I want to do like a proper thing. Like for instance, if I do like a workshop, right? That's one of my biggest things. I want to do a workshop where I can be able to train people for like a whole week. That is a community that I'm creating, right? So once I have that community, right, and I know the issue that we face in this country, so I want to be in a position where I can be able to support them more after that workshop, right? Exactly. Yeah. So I think that is there.
Yeah. No, this is great, and I'm super excited. Actually, you came to my show because they come actually talk about this, and this is great. So, our dear listener out there, and actually the viewer who is there with us, I would love to get this out there. We see South Sudan in particular, just like any other post-conflict environment, there are a couple of things that actually happen. And one is the growth of that particular country or particular area. And South Sudan amidst a lot of other different countries or areas that have actually ever been hit by conflict, going through the same thing, growth. And today, super excited that we have been having Bashir together with us, who is the creator at Nyuonville, and telling us how actually he's using the power of storytelling and filmmaking in solving some of these very, very hardcore issues that are happening within. He's talking about content quality and how the fact that there's need of at least a school of filming. And it's amazing that actually he's doing it alone, but of course he has challenges around the side of support and funds and whatever. If you're out there, you love to venture into filming and supporting South Sudanese content or local content, please, it's really, really amazing that you actually come in and contact Bashir. And this which also gets me to the next part. So how can people who are out there listening to us also have access to your content or access to you as Bashir, in case they would love to have programs with you or programs with, basically your community of trainees or something, and they want to support them or the growth? How would they?
All right. So, I mean, okay, social media is the easiest way, right?
Exactly.
You go to search Bashir J. Thanks on all the platforms, you'll find me. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Yeah. So it's Bashir J. Thanks. Or YouTube, you just subscribe. You go to Nyuonville, subscribe, and if you check the info there, you can see the email there as well. On all these platforms, it's easier.
Sure.
So yeah.
So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being part of the show. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for coming.
Appreciate, man.
Romeo. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, so thank you so much, our dear listener, once again for actually being with us from the beginning of the show until now. This has been Bashir J. Thanks, who is a creator at Nyuonville, telling us exactly how he's using storytelling and filmmaking in solving community issues in his community here in South Sudan, Juba in particular. And of course, as this content creators, as these innovators go on solving community challenges, they also have their own challenges they also have that they're facing through this particular period. You know very well, you can also be a supporter. You can be someone who can help in one way or the other to see that these people make it so easy as they provide solutions to their communities. I've been your host, Romeo, and who has been handling you through the Ask podcast, where of course we interview people coming up with solutions from different post-conflict and conflict areas, and how they use these solutions to actually solve bigger problems in their community. So you can also continue listening to some of our podcasts that have been happening, at least the past 3, and we talked about different things with different innovators as well. And continue being with us and catch us all through. In case you're also out there, you have an initiative and you'd love to be featured on the Ask podcast, you can still also contact us at askpodcast1@gmail.com. askpodcast9@gmail.com, or just go to all platforms on social media to make sure that you can actually reach to us. Thank you so much. Have an amazing time. Peace.
Gunshots might have gone silent. Conflicts may be over, but numerous challenges still exist. With local solutions and innovations, many of these challenges are being solved one at a time. Listen to the Ask podcast as we feature innovators, innovation spaces, local organizations, and individuals as they tell us how they are solving these local community challenges in conflict and post-conflict places in Africa. I am your host, Romeo.